What is up, guys, and welcome to another costed game. Today we're just checking out some random games on the ladder, and here we have in the south of the map we got Eclipse TR playing as the infamous USA, of course, and here we have Breaking Me playing as Hausa in the north of the map. And it's gonna be interesting to see how this pans out. This map has quite a nice TP line, so if I'm up against USA on this map, I would actually prefer to take this TP line, because the TPs are quite far from the base, so they can be quite hard to defend for the American player here. But we're gonna see here, so Breaking Me here as Hausa, going for this 60 wood treasure, which is gonna be quite nice. He has actually traded in a cattle, it seems, because he has 175 wood, but he still hasn't gone for that tech which boosts the gather rate. Well, actually, okay, never mind, I'm actually looking at the other player, so that makes sense. Yeah, so here we have the 60 wood, and he's actually opting to go for village dogs before trading in. Now this doesn't really matter, because he's gonna need to trade in this very soon anyways, because he's gonna want to send that 3 villager card without getting housed. So he's like maximum gonna have to so the maximum time he can wait is like after he finished this ville. But nevertheless, wood is always a nice trigger, because now the problem is, you see, he's already queued up to 10, so now he can't send the shipment without cancelling this. And let's see if we actually go ahead and sell it. No, it doesn't seem to be doing it right now. And here he has the shipment, and he actually go for the Polaco code. Now wait, this is actually bugged again, so I can't actually press the let's try this again. I can't actually press the obsidian. There we go. Yeah, now we're back on track. So he actually goes for the Polaco code. So interestingly enough, he doesn't actually have the 3 vills in this card. Now this is just a really strange deck, to be honest, because you rarely see Silversmith for Hausa, but I guess it can be quite a nice card. Now I do like the spice trade. I think the spice trade really makes sense as Hausa, because your units are really food focused, and you also really have a really good food gather rate from the beginning. And with Polaco, they actually do synergize quite well, to be honest. So I think that this card could actually account to a really strong economy here in H2. And now I don't really agree with the account fertilizer. No, it's only adds the gather rate for the fields, but like if you're already invested in Silversmith and Spice Trade, why would you want to have a card investing in the gather rate for farms? Also, it has the Team Indigo die works, which just doesn't make sense in a 1v1 scenario. And also missing out on those 3 vills is kind of unfortunate if you're gonna go for the spice trade and the black code. Now he did opt to go for a house anyway, so he doesn't 10-10, so he's not really gonna benefit a lot from going from black code at this point, but he has the 1.09 gather rate for food, while the USA player has 0.84. So at this stage of the game, he actually has a way better gather rate, and he has, let's see here, he has 11 vills here on food. Meanwhile, the oh, and actually has more than 11 bills, because there are fewer walking. So at 12 bills here on food, and the American player here has 10 on food and 5 on wood right now. So at this moment of time, they're probably equal gather rate, but I would still like to see those extra vills. So he's aging up with the Songhai. Now the Songhai is a very aggressive age up, and I think this gonna synergize well with the spice trade, because if you go Songhai, that probably means that you want to go prolong the H2, because you want to use the raider dispatch ability, and you want to get that eco going, just producing a lot of raiders. And I think this can definitely work, because that means that you like if the American player goes for the Gatling guns, then you can just use those raiders to try to take out the Gatling guns before he gets too much to defend them with. Now he has a card saved up here, and this is also the problem. Like, imagine if he went for the 3 vills, then he could actually send Polaco code now, but because he didn't, he has to save this card for quite a while, because there's quite a bit of time before he ages up. Now he has gone ahead and kept villagers on both coin and food. It actually seems like he actually sold a cattle, I think, to get that mining upgrade. Or maybe he gathered just a bit. I'm not completely sure. He probably sold it because he's actually built a hut here, and he's actually going to use 100 gold to build a Sanga cattle. So already we see quite an unorthodox start here. Now it's not terrible, but I think there could be some improvement on the start. And he's also building this TP. Now this I agree with, like building the full TP line, as I said earlier against USA, is just really nice, especially on a map like this. So we'll see if he goes for the rest of the TPs, but because he doesn't have House of Kingdom builder, he's not gonna get that TP builder on HAP, which preferably he really wants. Now let's see how aggressive he builds that war camp. I would assume, okay, he actually builds it in base. Now in this matchup I think you can go a bit more aggressive, get it closer to your opponent, but he chose the safe option, and here he has that 300 crates of coin. Meanwhile we see here the USA player aging up with the cow, also building a barracks here. He's going quite safe. He made the Corps de Bois in the beginning, which gonna give him like really tanky villagers, which will make it harder for his opponent to raid. And he's actually going for the Virginia General Assembly now, which is just quite standard stuff. Now he didn't go for the Dutch immigrants, even though he has it in the deck, so I doubt we'll see that. Meanwhile, the Hausa player here is going for Palace of Amina, and is also sending the 5 raiders. So this is quite a classic start if you're going up with the gold HAP, because you're gonna want to get that Palace of Amina to get the influence, so you can get that 500 influence and get the raider dispatch. He's also gone ahead and built a university here, and this I like a lot, investing in that influence gather rate, and that's gonna help him get the raider dispatch and then later also get the cannons out. But unfortunately missed out on a lot of XP. It would have been really nice to kill Sir William here, but instead he just ran right past them. And he's gonna go in from this side, which is really nice because, well, the state capital bids way too quickly, but he might actually get this Ville at least if Eclipse isn't on the ball here. He's also getting the snares upgrade. He sent the 700 coin here, so he might actually even up to H. Now, I'm not too sure about the 700 coin. If you're gonna, with a deck like his, it would probably have been better to send Silversmiths or Spice Trade and just really double down on that eco to get that eco league. But instead, he's going for that 700 gold, maybe to train units or maybe to HAP. It looks like he's actually trying to, it looks like he's actually gonna want to H because he's not training a lot of units, and yeah, he's just kind of playing it safe here with the palace. Now unfortunately he doesn't actually have a university here, so he's missing out on a lot of influence here. Like building the university here is not nearly as good as building it here with the town center and the palace, giving that extra trickle. But we'll see, maybe he will actually drop it down soon. Maybe trade in a cattle for wood here would probably be actually a really good option to build that university. And it looks like he's going back with the raiders. Didn't really achieve that much because of the fact that USA has the Corps de Bois and also the barrack start. So at this point he's trying to send the Gananchi, and he's gonna want to H. He's gonna want to get up to H3, it looks, with the 700 gold and the Gananchi. So at this point it would probably have been better to actually go up with the Moroccans. It's a lot better of an option if you want to do the FF, but it does of course work with the song as well. And we're probably gonna see the Akan HAP, yeah. So the Akan HAP is definitely the most popular HAP to H3 because it gives you those Akan units that are already H3, and it gives you just massive tempo. And I bet we'll see him actually train some Akan once he ages up with and get this shipment in. Meanwhile, he's just trying to raid, but at this point it's going to be really hard to raid because he hasn't added more of these raiders, so he only has 5, and his opponent now has both the regulars and the Minutemen, so this will get to that critical point where he can start sniping the cavalry one by one. And he's dropping on that university. This is definitely the right call. He needs to get that influence going so he can add some cannons, especially if you go Akan. You're really gonna struggle against the USA Gatling guns, and you're gonna need some culverins. Meanwhile, the Eclipse here is actually aging up with the covered wagon, so quite greedy. It's not actually protecting this, so like preferably he would use these units and have them here by the town center. He's also training our town center, so we're gonna see the marine strategy. Now this is a dead giveaway that the marine strategy is coming, so if you scout your opponent, and you can actually see that he's just dropping down a ton of these town centers, and that means that the marines are coming. So and it's probably one of the most popular strats as the USA as well, so you always have to be prepared for that with Hausa. Now they are really nice and can actually deal well with other Musk type units because they are effect, but the problem is you need a way to deal with the Gatling guns, and the problem is the thing is Breaking Me gonna be able to get those in time? That is the question. And at this point it's starting to look a bit dicey, because he knows that the USA player is H3, and at this point USA can really do anything. They can go for the marines, or they can boom, or they can do a lot actually. And he's starting pushing out here with a few of these marines. Yeah, there you see the marines are in, and he's gonna use the inspiring flag as well, and probably will actually get this down. So that's a bit unfortunate, because these accounts probably won't get there in time. And he's actually sending the chest of 1,000 coin, which means he's probably gonna want to gather a lot of food actually. I would probably put people off wood here, because you're not gonna need the wood. You can always trade in the wood and just double down on food here. And here's really where you want that spice trade. But we're gonna see this fight break out, and the thing is, the marines are just really strong at this point, because as you can see, 200 HP, 28 attacks, so they are just really good. And yeah, with these numbers, it's not looking great for Hausa, and he's actually using the stagger mode as well to reduce the damage. So now, fortunately for Breaking Me, he isn't using the units that are sieging, but the thing is, just so many marines, and this is always what you gotta look out for. And what we're gonna see now is, of course, the Gatling guns gonna come right after this, because they always do. And you can actually see he's quite close to having that card available. And then we're gonna see the 3 Gatling guns, and then it's gonna be the 2 Gatling guns. So Hausa is definitely gonna need to get that Cobalt, and he does have some time, because the USA player is playing it pretty safe and fairly slow, so he really needs to make this imported cannon stack right now. But he really isn't focusing a lot on it, and he's actually stacking so much influence, so he really needs to utilize this influence. You never want to have this much influence over. Now he could actually send the cannoneers, and that's also a way to counter the Gatling guns, but it's way more risky compared to building the Culverin, so I would always prefer Culverin if possible. But we'll see, maybe he'll actually go for the cannoneers now, or maybe even the Sunnis, but no, he's going for the cannoneers. Okay, so that's a okay choice, but it's gonna need some really nice micro here to actually deal with those cannons. He's actually building a town center here. Now, he should have built a town center right here, and it would actually have been inside of the influence of that university, but he unfortunately misses out on that. And the USA player just adding a lot of infantry right now. Is actually even sending the factory. So actually he isn't going for the Gatling guns, and I think that's a mistake here. He really had a nice win condition there, I think, but he's going really greedy, going to factory, which of course is never a bad decision. This is still a factory, but yeah, he definitely loses a lot of tempo, and he's gonna give Breaking Me a lot of time here to respond. And the cannoneers are coming in now, and because he didn't go for those Gatling guns, that means that these cannoneers are actually gonna have a really great time, because they will actually counter everything in his comp. And this is usually what you see with the USA players. They rarely go for cavalry, so you can almost always expect a infantry composition, which means that any unit that counter infantry well, like the cannoneers, is always a good option. So the town center is up, and I wonder if he's training from both. Yeah, he is, and he's actually going ahead and upgrading the TP line, which is a really odd choice considering he only has a single TP. He wants to build this other TP, but he's gonna lose his explorer, and that's quite unfortunate. Now these units have a pretty incredible siege attack, 41 siege attack, which is pretty insane. Like, the Khan is a Musk type unit, which is fairly good at sieging, but even that has only 20 siege, so these will just wreck any building that they come in contact with. And he's actually using the Raider Dispatch now for 500 influence, getting those 5 Raiders, but I think it's a bit late to do the Raider Dispatch. He really would prefer a cannon in this composition, I think, because these are unupgraded units and they're mainly good at raiding, not really at attacking, so... But we're gonna see how well he does with the microwave. Maybe we can even snipe the wagon if he's paying attention here. Okay, and he's actually aiming for the units instead, which is fine, I guess. And getting that wagon is quite nice. But if he can get the snare in with the cavalry here, he could actually probably even wipe this if he's lucky. But he's gonna be careful for that Gatling gun coming in, because the USA player definitely gonna wanna send the Gatling guns. He's actually training a Gatling gun even, and he has the factory on wood, so he will probably get at least 2 out from the artillery foundry, and he's getting a shipment in now, so sending another Gatling gun would also be a really good choice here, I think. Just getting a lot of Gatling guns, but instead he's opting for the bank wagon. Once again, really strange choice here, and actually he doesn't look like he has even the Gatling gun inside the deck, so that's really interesting. Very interesting choice there. So really greedy actually going for the Dutch immigrant at this point, and I'm not really sure about this. I think he needs to add more stuff that's good against cavalry. He really wants something to deal with these Lafidi Knights, and they're actually gonna get quite a few villagers here. Also picking up the explorer there, so 3 villagers will probably go down here, and he won't have time to respond with this army. Now I wonder if the Hausa player is thinking about getting cannons, but no, it doesn't look like it. And at this point they upgraded the stagecoach here, and they actually even gave USA an upgraded TP, which is unfortunate. And he needs to be careful now. If he gets caught out of guard here and loses a lot of units to the Gatlings, then that can definitely be a really bad thing. And he has the cavalry all up in the corner there, so yeah, this fight is just gonna go terrible for breaking me here. He needs to escape with his units, and he lost a lot of health on these units. And this is the problem with the cannoneers. It's very easy to get caught off guard like this, where you can't really outreach your opponent, and the Gatling guns are so mobile. They can just follow you around, shoot all the units, and yeah. So this, and he's just getting USA'd, and this is like the classic bread and butter USA, and it just shows you the strength of this strategy. Just going Marines Gatling gun, it always works. And also the cavalry running in now, but they are just really out of position once again. Now unfortunately the USA player didn't get the snare, so it's fine. But score-wise they're actually looking quite close, but at this point I do think that it's looking quite nice for the American player here. But at the same time, the Hausa player here breaking me does have 2 TPs actually. It's actually gotten a university as well, so I like how he's really focusing on that influence trickle here. Now the only problem is he really needs to use that to get the cannons, because the thing that counters these Gatling guns is definitely cannons. You always want to get culverins against USA, because they're really good against cavalry as well, so you can't really deal with them cavalry. Also, it's getting the 15 Sudanese allies, and this is actually quite a nice card in this case, because they will counter the infantry here really nicely. Also with the extra speed, it's just really nice to chase them down. Also, I upgraded the Lafidis now, so they're now elite status. So his composition is looking quite nice. He just needs something to deal with those Gatling guns. Now, he has a lot of cavalry, and by the looks of it, he's adding a lot more cavalry. But it's always dangerous to go cavalry against USA, because, well, these units deal very well with cavalry. But actually, interestingly, it's only the regulars that have the 3 times multiplier, which is huge, but the hand attack of the Marines are not actually that good. So if you can actually get into the melee of the Marines, then that is of course very nice. So now the cavalry is moving in, and yeah, it's looking quite dire on the anti-cav here from the USA player, which is nice. And I think think the Breaking Me actually just has to commit here with the cavalry and just try to get the flank out while moving in with the units. I think he's in a good spot. I don't think he realized how little anti-cav there actually is in this composition. There's only really about 10 of these regulars, which can be easily picked off with his anti-infantry units. Meanwhile, he's actually going for the Dane guns, so it's probably gonna go for the Maigadi actually, which is interesting. It's a unit you rarely see in 1v1s. It can be good if your opponent go mercs, but yeah, USA isn't really known for their mercs, so I doubt we will actually get much use of those units, but nevertheless they can be really strong. And he's really stacking a lot of influence. Like, imagine getting 4 falconets out, or just 2 Colves and 2 Falcons. That would just completely change the game at this point. And I wonder if he's actually gone for any of the eco cards. No, he hasn't. So Hausa's eco is not great, but at the same time he does have these 3 universities, and he's actually going in with the cavalry here, and he's gonna get a really nice attack here onto the Gatling guns. He's gonna be really happy with this. Meanwhile, the anti-cav here is in the front trying to take out the cavalry, but it just has way too much reinforcing units, so this fight is actually looking really good for Hausa, I think, because, well, at this point there's not a single anti-cav unit left, and there's still some Lafidis out here to snare, and also all of these units counter the Marines really nicely. So it looks like a clean. It's not as decisive as it could have been, but yeah, definitely a win for Hausa, and I think he is in a quite good spot. But I say that, and actually now it's actually looking better and better the longer this goes on for USA. But I don't know, Hausa still has the map control. He has the 3 of the 4 TPs. He's getting this palace up for some really nice map control, and he just has so much influence stacked, like 3k influence. Like, imagine the amount of cannons he can get actually with this. That would be just insane. And he's also going for the second Maigadi card. So he could actually trade in some livestock for gold and maybe go Maigadi production. Actually, if he just puts a lot of vills here on gold, then he could really get a lot of Maigadis out, which would be really nice. Now there's a lot of regulars here though, so he doesn't want to move in with the Lefidi, but it's enough to kind of repel these units at least. Now he is building farms, and you really want to avoid this as House. The farms are just truly terrible. It's incredible how terrible they are. So he really wants to utilize this herd right here before he goes onto the farms. Also, he's healing up this palace here, which is quite nice, and also training some more account. But he needs to really utilize his cards. He's went for double Maigadi upgrade cards, and he's not really utilizing them at all. So I would love to see him actually use that influence and use those cards. But as of now, he's not really doing that. Meanwhile, we see the Fort Jackson here coming up. This is gonna be really nice for Eclipse here, getting that really nice line of sight and protection here. That means that he's gonna be able to sit with his cannons here inside of the wall under that fort. And also this is quite a nice trade, I think, for the USA player once again, because he has those regulars on the cavalry, and I think Hausa really needs to add artillery. Now he's adding Maigadis, but I don't think that's what he needs. The Maigadis are great against the cavalry with the upgrade card he has, but the thing is, we're not seeing any cavalry from this player. So his opponent is really not going for the cavalry, and if you look at his deck, sure, he can go for the Pulaski's Legion, but at the same time, is it really worth giving up those cannons just to get the anti-cav? I think he can deal with those anyway. But we see here mill wagons coming out, and this is really nice with USA. They can just get those wagons so cheaply and just build stuff all over the place. And yeah, it's just really nice when you're trying to boom and get that nice eco going. And he's adding a lot of walls now. The fort is going up. He's looking to defend his position. I think Hausa really needs to think about how he's gonna keep up with that economy, and he's actually going for the Rano Indigo production, and this is you very rarely see this card. So this is the coin, faster coin gather rate for farms, and he actually has most of the farms on coin, so I think that can actually be quite decent together with the Maigadi production. We see the Maigadis coming out now, and these are just incredibly buff units. They have 50 attack, almost 400 HP, and they have extra multiplier against mercenaries, and this will actually just shred these regulars. And as you can see, it's really the strength of the Maigadi. It's just a terrific unit. Now his composition, however, at this point is struggles a lot against cannons though, and I think the American player here really needs to build some cannons, and really needs to recognize that the Hausa player is going a really infantry heavy composition here. But he's building that nice mass of those. Maigadi has 15 of them, and at this point, yeah, it's gonna be quite difficult to deal with this without cannons. And I think he really needs to think about adding cannons or sharpshooters, or actually 2 heavy cannons, I guess. And he did imported cannons tech now, and the USA players actually just aged up. He got the shipment in, so I wonder what he will send. I think he needs to send the 2 heavy cannons, but he doesn't have it. He only has 10 Minutemen, so oof, I'm not really too sure about that age up there. He doesn't really have a deck focused on age 4, so I think it was a bit of a mistake there. And I wonder how he's gonna deal with this. And he's actually just making more regulars, and regulars is definitely not what he needs right now. He needs something that can deal with infantry. He definitely does not need regulars. Meanwhile, Hausa has to back out. There's a bit too much fortifications here, and we see the Minutemen shipment coming in now. So now he has Guard Marines out on the field, 290 HP, 37 damage. So these are really buffed units. So his comp is looking quite strong now, but he needs to add some cannons. Meanwhile, he's adding some estates, and I don't know, estates doesn't really feel like it's what he needs right now. Although he has a lot of villagers here on wood, so I guess he just wants to spend that wood. Meanwhile, we see the Hausa player also aging up to age 4. Now with this much influence, you should just go with the fast age. Now maybe I have already done the fast age tech, I'm not sure, but otherwise he really needs to use it. This unit is gonna shadow tech, so the Maigadi is gonna be insane once he goes up to age 4. And he also has the Gatling camels in the deck now. I love this shipment, and because he has so much influence, he's gonna be able to get quite a few Gatling camels out actually. And meanwhile, behind this is just training a lot of Maigadis, and I guess this is why he has the Silversmith card. He really wants that Maigadi production, and Maigadis require a lot of gold once you've sent the in guns, so I guess that kind of synergizes as well. Now it's unfortunate that he just didn't get the shipment in earlier, but we'll see when he goes for it. So the HP is coming in now, so we're bumping this up to 460 HP, 61 attack, and I wonder what HP actually went up with. Okay, so it looks like he went up with Yoruba, with the tokens of influence here, and that's gonna give him access to Yoruba allies. Also, he's training some howitzers. I think it would probably be better actually to get some regular falconets at this point, but of course howitzer is never wrong. He can get this fort down, which would be quite nice for him. And a bit of a low end action is just waiting for the Gatling camels and the howitzers to come in. Once again, he doesn't really have anything to deal with Gatling guns, so fortunately for him, the USA player doesn't have any Gatling camels, but Gatling guns. But if the USA decides to make a batch of Gatlings, that could be a big problem. And meanwhile, he's actually going for the flintlock. He's just buffing up his infantry, and here we actually have a few Gatling guns coming out. And as I said, there just isn't anything to counter these Gatling guns as of now. But here comes the Gatling camels, and the Gatling camels are pretty similar to the Gatling guns, but they do have a lot more HP actually, and they will really deal well with this infantry. And I think it's a mistake here from the USA player just washing in the units. He really needs to stand back, defend these Gatling guns, because that's really his win condition. And you can see the Maigadi just going to town on the USA infantry, and yeah, this trade is just going really favorably into the hands of Hausa here. Now ideally you really want to use the Gatling camels on the infantry. They're quite weak against other artillery, as you can see. They have a 0.35 multiplier against other artillery, so you really want to use them against the infantry. But nevertheless, it didn't really matter in that fight. He won single-handedly anyways. And I think it's just, now at this point he can just stand on his howitzers, just take down all of the infrastructure. And it's looking really quite bad for the USA player. Now he is adding some more Gatling guns, which is nice. It is what he needs, but because he lost that initial fight, like imagine if these Gatling guns were together with his first first fight, that would have been really nice. And also getting the Armand's Legion, which is actually going to be quite nice to defend these Gatling guns at this point. However, there isn't really any cab from the Hausa player, but they're going to deal with the Gatling camels quite well as well, because if I'm not mistaken, the Gatling camels are actually considered light cavalry. Let's see here. Type artillery ranged light cavalry, yeah. So they are actually countered by the goons. And we can see the Gatling guns actually doing a lot of work here. He just really needs to get those Gatling camels down. And there it seems like the last Gatling camel actually goes down. So at this point is looking better for USA. The problem is just he's lost everything that defends the Gatling guns. So yeah, it's gonna be a bit tough now. And this trade is favorable for the USA player, I think. But the problem is he doesn't really have anything to reinforce this behind. And looking at it, resource just has way too much wood. And if we check the Hausa player, it's just stacking a ton of influence and a ton of food. So the Hausa player is just going ham here on the gold gallery. It has every single farm here on gold. There's 57 villagers on gold, 1,800 per second. And he is just training Maigadi's as there is no tomorrow, and getting the cash crops as well. So just a really gold heavy focus deck, and ideally he wants some villagers on this mine actually. Like the gather rate on the mine is quite nice, 75, but at the same time with the upgrades he has the same gather rate here on the farm. So quite an interesting strategy. You don't see this strategy a lot. It's more of a strategy you see in team games, going for the Maigadi and the gold. But nevertheless, quite interesting here. I think he really needs to add a few calves though, because once again, it's gonna come some Gatling guns, and he doesn't really have anything to defend against the Gatling guns with. So we'll see how this goes. Meanwhile, the USA player doesn't have anything to defend the Gatling guns, so the Hausa player can just rush the guns. But yeah, this is gonna hurt. A lot of Maigadi is gonna go down here. Yeah, ouch. And these are really expensive units, like 200 resources each. So getting 2 of these is basically the same value as 1 cannon, which is pretty insane. And now we see the Pelasgian Legion coming out, but it's not gonna help. These units are insane versus cavalry. They have the 1.5, which isn't a lot, but with that base 61 damage, they will just shred any cavalry. But it looks like he's gonna get the cannons now, and with the reinforcing Gatling guns, this is actually quite nice with the Ulans. But I think it's just gonna buy him time. I have a hard time seeing how he's gonna get out of this. And actually, at this point, he's looking to go to H5, the Hausa player. So he's actually switched over some farms to food there just for a moment to get that 4,000. And now we can actually get the HF in. And let's see if he actually goes for it. He has 91 villagers, so he's really boomed really well here. And I like how he's added a lot of these universities. He has 4 universities, just getting that huge university boost. And also the walls here are just really nice to protect against these raids. And he's aging up now. Now he's gonna age up with the British, of course, because that gives you the arsenal wagon. And with that arsenal, he's gonna be able to take up to make these Maigadi even stronger. And the thing is, as soon as the age up hits, these Maigadi will be age 5 stats. So they're gonna get like jacked through the roof. It's gonna be really interesting to see how strong they actually get at that point. And I think it's just gonna try to actually snipe the cannons here. I don't necessarily agree with this decision, but at this point he's so far ahead that he can really take these poor trades, and it will still be fine. Now, ideally, he really wants to build a huge mass of these Maigadi at the point where he ages up, so he has a lot of these units that get shadow teched. But instead he's opting to have some pressure here, which is still fine, I guess. But yeah, I would like to see that huge mass of Maigadi. I think it would be also quite beneficial to maybe put down another palace here so we can really increase the production, because he's really capped here by only having 2 palaces. Also, if he loses this palace, that means he only has a single building he can train the Maigadi from. They take a lot of time to train. So we're gonna see what stats these land on now that the H5 comes in, and he's probably wanna go for the faster gold rate tech is my guess as well. You know, I see some raiding here on the side. I doubt that will do too much, and look at these stats. They have almost 80 attack and 600 HP, and that's the GG. So that's really the strength of the Maigadi. Now I think if the USA player just would have shipped the Gatling guns earlier, had them in the deck, it would have gone very differently. And I think you really need to use skirmishers or cannons to really deal with the Maigadi, and he really didn't utilize those skirmishers either, which is quite strange, because in this deck he actually could have sent actually both the 7 sharpshooters, and if I'm not and he could have also go ahead and sent the Massachusetts Volunteer, which I think also would have been a better choice than aging up. He's just aged up in a really unfortunate time, and it really gave Hausa the momentum they needed to push in. And yeah, these units are just insane. So that was that game, and I hope you enjoyed it. See some Maigadi play. It's not a unit you see regularly, and I think it's not really that high on the meta, and that's why you rarely see it, but you love to see it when you do, and it's just a cool unit. Well, anyways, that was it for this video. Hope you liked the video.